Now we'll hear the Medford, Cambridge, and Arlington school songs. You're on. Well, today we all celebrate. Good afternoon. Happy New Year. I'm Joe Curtatone. I have the honor and privilege of being the mayor of this fine city of Somerville, Massachusetts. And I am honored and proud and privileged to stand here before you with so many fantastic leaders on stage and activists and community leaders here with us today for today's historic and important announcement. First, and I'll say a few words about many of these people before they speak. Please join me in welcome. I'll name them all, then one round of applause, but if you feel excited to cheer someone earlier, now's the time. Representing President Obama, the United States Secretary of Transportation Authority, Secretary Foxx. He's the man of the check. The best governor this Commonwealth has ever seen, Governor Dept. One of our U.S. Senators, Senator Elizabeth Warren. He was a fantastic mayor and local official. He's one of the hardest working congressmen, if not the hardest in Washington, Congressman Michael Capuano. The FTA Acting Administrator, Ms. Therese McMillan. The General Manager of the MBTA, Dr. Bev Scott. From our state delegation leading it, State Senator Pat Jalen. State Representative Denise Provo. State Representative Tim Toomey. Representing Medford and Arlington, State Representative Beverly. Leading the discussion debate for transportation, State Senator Tom McGee. From the City of Cambridge, Mayor David Marr. Vice Mayor Dennis Benzon. From the great city of Medford, Mayor Michael McGlynn. Former Senator for Somerville, but for Everett, Charlestown, and many others, Sal G. Domenico. The Acting Transportation Secretary for MassDOT, Frank DePaolo. The former Secretary and a great friend to Somerville, Rich Davey. All the members of the Somerville Board of Aldermen, including a new addition to the Good Works family. Stand up, please. We have former aldermen in the room. Bear with me, folks, because people have been working on this for a quarter century plus. Alderman Perro, Desmond, Train, Roche, Taylor, I think they're all in the room. Let's give them a round of applause. Are there any Cambridge or Medford City Councils here? Let's give a round of applause. All right. All from the town of Arlington. All right. We want to thank the Conservation Law Foundation, the MAPC, Mark Grayson, the Metropolitan Area Planning Council, the MPO, and many, many other agencies who make today possible. I, most of all, want to thank you, the residents, the business leaders, the activists, the advocates, the passionate and tireless warriors for more than a quarter century in Somerville, Cambridge, Medford, and Arlington, the region, who fought for this moment today. Thank you for everything you've done. This is an historic milestone, not just for Somerville, Medford, Cambridge, and Arlington, the immediate metro region, and the Commonwealth. But we're building more than a light rail line. We're building really the backbone of a resilient, sustainable economy, a strong economy for everyone. And we know that right here in Somerville, innovative companies are locating in places close to public transportation, and even in Union Square, forthcoming public transportation. Because when we build public transportation, then build in a smart, strategic way around transit hubs, what we create is this bump factor. And we're creating places where people and ideas and creativity and innovation collide. They bump into each other. Where ideas can percolate and capital can flow freely. Where ideas thrive, talent is plentiful, and jobs, good jobs, are the result. We can see that today in our communities, where makers, artisans, and clean tech innovators are sharing ideas and working together in areas with good transit access. Access that is about to get even better thanks to the forward-thinking commitment to public transit that is being made today by our federal government and the Commonwealth. But today we are not only making an investment in public transit to share or to spur on innovation and create the jobs we need for a thriving 21st century economy, we are coming together to build quality public transit to directly support the working people of our cities, the region, and Massachusetts. In Somerville, we see that future. We've envisioned that future in Somerville. We want to plan that future, we want to build it. A future where more than 50% of new vehicle trips are shifted towards public transit and public biking and walking. A future where our population will go from where it was, only 15% within a half-mile walking and biking distance of a transit node, to 85%. We see that future. A car may be a convenience for those who can afford it, but for many others, it's a necessary financial burden. For some, commuting by car is the only option to get to work, to earn the money to pay the bills. And those bills include pouring income back into their car for gas, or repairs, for inspections, and so on. The cost burden of commuting for the working poor is nearly 2/3 more than other workers. So today is about social justice. Today is also about economic opportunity. And if we want more economic opportunity for everybody, all of the socioeconomic levels, at all those levels, there is a clear answer. Build more quality public transportation. If we want to ensure that the working poor and others without cars can get to the pharmacy, the grocery store, the doctor, or to see their extended families, build more quality public transportation. 2 out of 5 low-income Latino residents who took part in a recent Dukakis Center study said that at some point they had to forego a basic necessity to afford transportation. Driving drains the already limited amount of disposable or discretionary income available to all these families. So let me ask you, do you want families to have more discretionary income?
Yes.
Do you want families to be able to save more bills and necessity?
Yes.
Build more public transportation.
Yes.
I don't know that guy. A lack of quality public transportation adversely affects people's job choices. It can even affect their education. When someone has to take multiple public transit routes to get to work or school, it can take hours or even all day. The difficulty in simply getting to work can prove an obstacle in getting and keeping a job. And that's compounded when someone works multiple jobs to support their family, but they need to get from work to a medical appointment, or they're taking classes in addition to working a full-time job, so they can be more competitive
and the marketplace. Roughly 1 out of 4 residents in that Dukakis Center study reported that transportation-related issues caused repeated lateness to work. Almost a third reported being repeatedly late to healthcare appointments or even to school. So let me ask you, do you want workers to get jobs and keep them?
Yes.
Do you want people to further their education while working to pay their tuition?
Yes.
Build more public transportation. Of course, public transportation is not an issue that exists in the silo. We know that here. Combined with the dearth of housing across a region you're in right now that needs 435,000 units of housing by 2040, the expansion of public transit can affect housing costs. But that isn't an argument to reject more public transportation. If low-income residents are forced to move farther away from the urban employment centers and academic hubs, and any housing-related savings are erased by higher transportation costs due to longer commutes. This is an argument for every city and town in the region to do what they should have been doing already, and what we are doing now in Somerville. Build more housing, including affordable housing, especially near transit hubs. Build it. In Somerville, over the next 20 years, we will build more than 9,000 units of housing. And we've talked about what those housing opportunities will be around the transit nodes. Affordable, market, submarket, live-work housing. Our proposed zoning overhaul will make Somerville a national leader in using zoning to produce affordable housing. 1 in every 5 homes built near these transit stations will be permanently affordable. And those affordable units will also be priced for middle-income households, while still creating homes for low and moderate-income households. And as we build that housing, we are strategically building more office and commercial space to bring more tax-paying businesses to the city to share the cost of the services we rely on: public safety, roads and infrastructure, and schools. We don't have to look farther than Assembly Square, folks, where the governor and the federal government made a commitment on a transit stop that's bringing a net new 22,000 jobs over the next 10 years and $17 million of additional tax revenue to the city of Somerville on a yearly basis. That is the prime example of infrastructure leverages private sector investment. So expanding public transportation decreases transportation costs for families, lowers unemployment, and increases earnings. It keeps more money in the pocket of our families to pay for necessities. It puts more money flowing through the economy and creates a resilient, sustainable economy. Public transit is a key step towards economic sustainability and environmental sustainability. And this is about environmental justice as well. For a long time, communities like Somerville around the country really took it on the chin for decades. We were a community once dotted with almost 20 rail and trolley stops, and they were taken away for the expansion of an interstate highway and the McGrath-O'Brien Highway. And what we saw was decreased economic opportunity, health consequences such as respiratory illness, childhood obesity, and social isolation. And that story's played out around the country, which is why we are so grateful to President Obama and Governor Patrick for understanding the need to attack that system, to change that legacy. Getting carbon-producing cars off the road and getting people onto greener public transit doesn't just create jobs in the thriving economy today, will help create stability and thus jobs in the future. Public transit isn't just an option, but a good idea anymore. It's an absolute necessity. If we are going to responsibly address the role that our transit choices play in climate change, we can't just celebrate the investment that is so smartly being made by our federal government in Somerville today. Tomorrow, we need to continue the hard work of ensuring that we plan and call for sustainable public transit for more cities and towns and for our future. Let's continue the great legacy work of Deval Patrick and the Commonwealth and expand the transit needs across the Commonwealth. Let's make it happen now. Let's expand, Senator, that blue line to Lynn. That needs to happen. South Coast Rail needs to happen. A Northeast high-speed corridor has to happen. It makes all the sense socially, environmentally, economically. The Green Line extension from Leacia to Route 16 is the backbone for a stronger region and a stronger Commonwealth and a stronger nation. So again, me asking, do you want more economic opportunity for all?
Yes.
The answer is yes. Build more public transportation. Let's make it happen. Thank you very much. At this time, I am honored, it is my honor and privilege to introduce Secretary Foxx, Federal Transportation Secretary, on behalf of President Obama, who, along with the President and his administration, have been committed to this project, saw the promises socially, environmentally, and economically, and is here to make an important announcement. Please join me in welcoming Secretary Foxx.
Curtatone for his wonderful introduction. It's great to be here, Somerville High School. It's always great to be in a high school because when I think about what we do at the US Department of Transportation, it's ultimately about the future, ultimately about our young people. I want to thank and take a moment of personal privilege to thank Governor Patrick. I call him America's governor because when you think about leading voices in this country on 21st century issues, you and the Commonwealth have had an incredible leader who's not just a leader of this Commonwealth, but a leader in our country. Thank you so much. Senator Warren, it is always great to be with you, as well as Congressman Capilano, and to MBTA General Manager Beverly Scott. I want to thank all of you for joining me here today, and I do want to say another word to Richard Davey, your former secretary, as well as your acting secretary, for your great work. And to our FTA staff here, where are you today? Let me give you a shout out. These are the folks who did hard work. So it's fitting that we're here today making this announcement because I'm the grandson of a former principal of a high school. And like so many in his profession, he went above and beyond the call of duty to help his students and pave a way for a future generation. This is what education ultimately is about, providing for the long-term health and stability of future generations, but it's also what transportation is about. And I want to illustrate that by telling you a quick story about it. I was running for mayor for the first time in North Carolina. And you do a lot of these meetings in communities all over the city. And I happened to meet a gentleman who stopped me in the course of my meeting all these folks. And he said, "I want to tell you a story about your grandfather." And I said, "Sure." And he started to tell me the story about how he'd never had anyone in his family go to college. He didn't have any experience filling out paperwork to go to college, applications, financial aid forms, whatever. My grandfather helped him fill out his college application. He got in to college but couldn't figure out how to pay for it. He had to fill out the financial aid forms, which he did. He received a scholarship, but he had to travel 3 hours away to finish the paperwork, and he had no way to get there. And he said, "You know, your grandfather gave me the keys to his car so that I could get there." And he said, "Without your grandfather doing that, I wouldn't be a surgeon today." It just goes to show you how you never know what people are capable of until they have a shot. And today, I'm proud to tell you that we're giving this community a shot. to commit nearly $1 billion towards extending the Green Line light rail system out here so that people here in Somerville, Medford, Cambridge, all over the Green Line extensions area will have a faster, more reliable way to reach jobs and opportunities in Boston. I know it will make a big difference because a lot of people here ride the bus or take the subway. I also know that 1 out of 4 residents here don't own a car. And yet residents also look out their windows and they see trains passing right through their neighborhoods that don't stop. Well, now the trains will stop. Now this area will have regular rail service. And I'll make just one more point. We're very proud to be part of this effort. When we look at our country's larger transportation system, Mayor, I couldn't have done the speech better than you. We're not going above and beyond the call of duty as a country to ensure that every single American is as connected to the 21st century economy as we should. There's so many good, hardworking people around this country who would love to be sitting in your seats today having the same opportunity to celebrate this great success. And yet, when we look at the backlog of needed transportation investments, whether they be transit repairs nationwide, they've actually grown bigger than our entire transportation budget. Unfortunately, 2015 is beginning much like the previous year, unless Congress takes action to stabilize our surface transportation funding by springtime of this year. The funding source that supports efforts just like this Green Line extension will once again start running dry. This is why last spring we sent a bill to Congress. It is called the Grow America Act, that would increase investment in all forms of surface transportation, including a 70% increase in public transit. Those kinds of investments are the ones that allow a community to flourish, not just by the connections, but by the economic growth that occurs when those connections are made possible. I wish I could do like my grandfather did and give a key to every single American who needs a shot, so that everyone can have a way to get to work or to school or to a doctor's visit. But working together, we collectively can raise our voices and ensure that in 2015, we put the pieces in place to give all Americans the shot they need. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. We knew, as a former mayor being the secretary, we had a good shot at this project. At this time, it's my honor and privilege to introduce Governor Patrick. First, let me say, I asked the governor, is this your last official stop as governor? So, we'll just say it is. And I'm going to say tonight, I think we were you first, but 10 years ago, I sat with this gentleman, and as he was running for governor, and as I gave him my commitment, he asked me, well, what can I do for you? I said, there's one thing, Green Line. Shit, there's 5 things. Green Line, Green Line, Green Line, Green Line, Green Line. Deval Patrick in 2006 said, I'm committed. We'll get it done. And through the many recalibrations to set forth a realistic schedule, he made it happen. This governor has guided Massachusetts out of one economic downturn through the greatest recession since the Great Depression. Massachusetts has come out stronger than any state in the Commonwealth because he drove investment and policy changes in education, innovation, transportation, infrastructure, and a down economy, smartly utilizing our funds, and has made commitments on projects like the Green Line. He has set forth a model for all leaders in which to follow. Act today with an eye on tomorrow. make it clear again, he's the greatest governor in this Commonwealth's history. Please welcome, this project will not happen without him, folks, Governor Dept.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you very much. I often describe infrastructure investment as the unglamorous work of government, but it supports everything else. It creates jobs in the here and now, but it also is a platform for growth and opportunity out into the future, as the mayor so beautifully put it. And Mr. Mayor, I want to thank you and your fellow mayors for insisting on this project and being so vigilant about it. I want to thank the President, and through the Secretary, the President, and Mr. Secretary, you personally, for taking every call and every visit and patiently listening and understanding the case, and with your team doing the analysis and supporting us in the way that you have. I want to thank and acknowledge our congressional delegation, Senator Warren, and maybe, if I may, most especially Congressman Capuano, who is like, yeah. When his teeth are in something, he will not let go, even if those teeth are in your own backside. And I appreciate you, Congressman. I want to acknowledge and thank the members of our congressional delegation, and today, most especially, the chairman of the Transportation Committee, Senator McGee. The state has an important financial and fiscal role in this project as well, and it is their authorization that makes possible the state stepping up and doing its share, and we thank you all and your colleagues for that. I want to acknowledge and thank Secretary Davey, Secretary DePaulo, the extraordinary Dr. Scott, and all of the team at Mass DOT for their incredible work in making the case and preparing the groundwork. And I will thank you in advance for your effective implementation of this project on time and on budget. And did I mention Arlington? All right, let me mention Arlington, because Representative Beverly has been over there whispering every time somebody got up to talk about where the train was going and not mentioning Arlington. So let me, on behalf of everybody who missed Arlington, that we tried. Listen, let me also thank all of you, every one of you and every citizen who has taken the time to worry about this project or urge it forward, who's taken the time to show up at hearings to help think through how to make the best possible route and design, who have urged that it go all the way to Medford. Yep, I remember those conversations. And I'll make one other point. Every time someone talks about building public transportation, almost every time, folks rightly applaud. When it comes time to talk about how to pay for that, the applause sometimes gets a little weaker. I remember listening to President Bush many years ago advocate for his tax cut. And he made the compelling point to the American public, this is your money. And he was right. But the rest of that argument is sometimes left out, because this is also your train, right? This is your school. These are your broken roads and broken neighbors, and it's time for us to take responsibility for that too. So yes, it is critically important that you and we as citizens demand that those entrusted with stewarding your money get as much out of every buck as possible. But it is also our responsibility as a community to start having a candid, honest conversation with each other about the taxes to pay for the civilization we deserve. Keep that in mind. God bless.
Thank you, Governor. At this time, I want to welcome up a champion of working people, a champion for financial accountability in the markets, a champion for social justice, the great United States Senator Elizabeth Warren.
Mr. Former Mayor, Mr. Secretary, Mr. Acting Secretary, Mr. Former Secretary. We're going to get them all. Senators, representatives, and all of you. I'm just here today to celebrate. I'm here to celebrate when government works the way it's supposed to. Because that's what this is all about. The Green Line extension is an opportunity to make this area work better for families across the region. It's an opportunity to give people who want jobs a chance to get to them. It's an opportunity for employers to find more people who can come work for them. It's an opportunity for businesses to have access to more customers. It's an opportunity for us to breathe air that's just a little bit cleaner and have a little less congestion on our roads. And sometimes we come together in government and we build something together that none of us can build alone. That's what basic infrastructure is about. And by the way, that's what basic public education is about too. It's about the things we build together that we can't build alone. The things that help us build a real future, not just for some of us, but a real future for all of us. A real future not just for some of our kids, but a real future for all of our kids. So I am delighted to be here today to recognize the number of partnerships that it took to make this happen. Partnerships between the federal government, the state government, and several local governments. The commitment that it took from people in Washington, people at the State House, and people right here in these communities to make something better for the future. We got to stop and celebrate these moments. We got to remember these moments, and we got to use these moments to inspire us to have more of them in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. This gentleman really needs no introduction. I had the opportunity to serve with him when he was mayor. His legacy as one of the hardest working public officials as an alderman, and as mayor has not come up short in Congress. He is the hardest working person in Washington, along with you, Senator. But at a time when we need voices and leaders to advocate for the working poor, for working families, for housing, for transportation, there's only one person you want to put this argument on his shoulders and let him run with because he's a fighter for us. Please welcome our Congressman, our former Mayor, Michael Capuano.
Senator, I thought you were bringing a check. That's the old song. None of you guys know what I'm talking about. In 1969, I sat in this auditorium. Every seat was broken. This was dangerous to be up on, not that I was ever up yet. And I graduated high school. I went to a prom with a beautiful young lady, whom I later married. You know my wife. And we were talking about a Green Line stop behind the high school. 1977, I get elected to Alderman, Ward 5. And I lived on Highland Road with Stan Cody. And we were talking about a Green Line stop in Ball Square. In 1990, I got elected mayor, and I took a look at our first budget, and I noticed then, really for the first time, now you know that you pay fares for the T, you know that you pay through the T through the state, but most people don't know that every city and town also pays into the T. Well, Somerville paid millions, probably still does, into the T. And we were the most densely populated city on the face of the earth in the 1950s. We were still the most densely populated city in New England, still are today, by the way. And at the time, we had the 4th highest MBTA assessment in the entire system of 100 and some odd communities. The 4th highest. Not one single T stop, not one single commuter rail stop, yet every single commuter rail train running to the North Station runs through Somerville. We had the worst buses, one of the poorest cities, people who needed mass transit to get to work, not for fun, but for work. Finally, in 1984, we got a red line stop. Our assessment's still the 4th highest. I believe it probably still is today. And yet, many of us have been fighting for this for a long, long time. And the truth is, we really didn't make much progress until the big dig came along, and we had some environmentalist friends that helped us get a commitment. Now, that commitment has changed repeatedly, and some things have fallen off the table, some things have been added to it. The green line has been on that table and has stayed there. But we still made no progress, a lot of lip service, until Deval Patrick took office. That, to me, should tell you what this man is all about. I will tell you that I'm proud to call him my governor, but I'm more proud to call him my friend. And I say that, and many of you know me. My friends don't lie. Now, my friends may tell you things you don't want to hear on a regular basis. And on occasion, he's done that. But the minute he told me he was going to support the Green Line, to me, that's all that was necessary. He has lived up to every single commitment, not just on this, but in everything I've ever heard him say about any issue, even some issues we have disagreed on. He's lived up to his word, and for me, I don't think there's a better measure of a person, and certainly no better measure of a politician, than a person who lives up to his word. We are here today because of Deval Patrick. I want to be real clear. To me, there's lots of things to talk about. This has been a long time coming to this stage. We're not done. We're not done. And by the way, Mr. Secretary, I got to be honest, I was a little taken aback by how easily $1 billion rolled off your tongue. 1 billion. 1 billion federal dollars. Your tax dollars, as the governor has said. Governor, isn't it nice when you're not running for office? How you can speak the truth so powerfully. Nothing's didn't before, but now there's no shackles whatsoever. But it's true. My whole life, this city has taken the short end of the stick on 1,000 different things. It's what got me into office. I started as an elected official as an angry young man. I will probably end as an angry old man. But I will not be angry about transit inequality. And I want to make another big bold line with this. The urban core is back. When I graduated here in 1969, the measure of success for pretty much everybody I graduated high school with was how quickly you could move up. And not just Somerville, that's true about the entire urban core. That's not true anymore. Now, almost everybody that moved out, it's my age, would love to come back. They just can't afford it. This governor not only did the Green Line, but I want to talk about the Fairmount line as well. The Fairmount line is another area where trains ran all day, every day, through some of the poorest areas in this state without stopping. Or if they stopped, they were in horrendous shape, cost too much, and nobody used them. Fairmount line today is servicing those very same people and bringing those neighborhoods up as well. This governor is truly committed to all the people of this Commonwealth, and he deserves our respect and our appreciation for having done it. moving forward, we still have more fights to do. This is the federal government's commitment. The state has made its commitment thus far. That's where you come in, Tommy. And Sal, and Timmy, and Denise, and Pat. And Sean. They've done their job. But we need to keep it going, because this federal money will not come without state matching dollars. It's not just given to us. It has to be matched. The state has lived up to its commitment thus far. We need to make sure that that commitment doesn't somehow fall off the table. So this is wonderful. It's a great advancement. It's a great day to celebrate. But it's really one more milestone. I also want to reiterate what Mayor Curtatone said. This is a fantastic project. But the truth is, it's not the only good transit project I'm aware of. The truth is, I can't think of a single transit project that I wouldn't want to see, that I'm aware of on the books right now. The South Coast Rail would be fantastic. High-speed rail to Springfield would be unbelievable. The red-blue connector, the extension of the blue line. Those are just off the top of my head, and there are more on top of that. The governor's right. I don't know why people voted against tying the gas tax to inflation. I don't like paying taxes any more than anyone else. And to be perfectly honest, I suggested, and I'll suggest it to my state elected officials, those cities and towns that voted against it should get exactly what they voted for. Nothing. And those of us who voted for it should get exactly what we voted for. Everything. If you don't want to pay taxes, you should not enjoy the fruit of those taxes. I respect that. I understand that. There's nothing wrong with that. If you choose to live in that society, fine. First of all, move to another state, but that's okay too. Most of us want the things the tax dollars bring. And most of us are willing to pay for it. Nobody enjoys it. And I'm not asking anybody to pay a single penny more than you are supposed to be responsible for paying. But we need those tax dollars to do this and 1,000 other things. We all know that. The governor is 100% right. But we also have to speak it all the time. On this issue, maybe we get ours. But if the Green Line were built tomorrow, I'd still be advocating for more money going into transportation, because the truth is we don't live on an island. Somerville and Medford and Arlington, we cannot do well unless New Bedford does well, unless Lynn does well. We can't. All my life, our tax dollars have gone on the transportation end of it to help others, for the most part, because we have not gotten the fruit of our own taxes. Now it's our turn. And I don't think that's extra. I actually think it's long overdue, but it's here. I also want to take a minute to thank the FDA. I will tell you that I deal with a lot of federal agencies. I actually have a longer list of those I don't like than the ones I do like. One of the ones that I like the most is the FDA. They're a pleasure to work with. They're professional. They like doing what they're doing. No nonsense. No games. Straight up, honest, and fair. And I say that knowing full well that I have to work with you for the rest of this project. So with that, I just want to say thank you to them. And obviously thank you to the Secretary, even though I would have really liked to see $1 billion check. I know some guys who can cash it. I also want to thank all the advocates that have got us this far today. So many people on 1,000 different issues. They advocate, and then they give up. They wonder why it doesn't happen. The most notable issue that I've noticed in the last few years is gun control. Right after any given tragedy, every single elected official in this country hears from thousands upon thousands of people. Gun control, gun control, gun control. Now, I'm good with that. This is easy to me. The difference is they fade away. A couple months later, the headlines change, and those voices quiet. For those of you who are advocating for this or anything else, if you allow your voices to go quiet, others will speak up, and they will get the money that is now on the table for us. Thank you for bringing us here today, and I look forward to working with you in the future to make sure this actually happens.
Thank you, Congressman. We have two more speakers. I want to thank Senator Warren as well. Please welcome. She's the FTA Acting Administrator, and I had an opportunity a few years back, along with our strategic and community planning team, strategic development community planning team, to tour the city with Teresa McMillan and really highlight, which she recognized quickly, the opportunity with investment in transit in the Orange Line and Green Line. Please welcome the FTA Acting Administrator, Teresa McMillan.
Thank you so much, Mayor Curtatone, and being representative of one of the few agencies that the Congressman likes to work with in the federal government, I will be short and sweet. I just wanted to, again, say that trip that I took 5 years ago when I was just appointed as Deputy Administrator for the Federal Transit Administration was very special insofar as there were two things that I remember from that tour. The richness and diversity of this vibrant neighborhood in this region, and the vision of Mayor Curtatone for the project. And it was a marker for me of how important the Federal Transit Administration's work could be, to partner with communities committed to improving opportunities for their residents. Transit can be extremely transformative, as you've heard today. The Green Line is exactly that kind of project. There was so much hard work and persistence at the local, state, and federal levels to bring this partnership together. Again, special kudos to my great team, both in Washington and here in the Boston area. But I'm most proud and impressed of the power of this community to see this project through after so many years for this moment. You are the reason that we do our jobs, and I can just offer you my congratulations and best wishes for the future. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, please welcome, she has been a dynamic voice and an active partner, not just on this project, but so many others. She's the general manager of the MBTA, Dr. Beth Scott.
Thank you so much. Well, it's been an unbelievable run to reach this critical funding milestone. And as MBTA General Manager for what I call the anchor leg of this marathon, I'm going to give just a very big exhale for the entire team. And with your indulgence, I want to take just a few more minutes to add my thanks and appreciation for today. Certainly Secretary Foxx and the FTA Administrator McMillan, we just can't thank them enough for just extraordinary leadership and having belief in us. And quite candidly, this is one milestone, but at the end of the day, what we're all going for is revenue service to open up as it's supposed to open up, when it's supposed to open up, on time and on budget. And our absolute doggone commitment to you is that we're going to deliver that, because that's what it's all about. And today would not be complete without our former Secretary, Rich Davey. You're not, where did he, there he is, okay, who is here today, okay. And so if you will please permit me just a moment for a bit of nostalgia. Just about a year ago, Frank, where's Frank? We remember this. We had a Saturday morning MassDOT MBTA senior management critical projects meeting to lay out our 2014, early 15 execution plan. That went, hey, I'm telling you. And so on that brisk morning, and that's we, and that was our entire team, we made a commitment to do all that we could to make this full funding grant agreement become a reality. And Governor Patrick, on behalf of your entire MBTA MassDOT family, promise made, promise kept. A part of this one is definitely for you. We are extremely honored and privileged to have shared this journey and run this leg of the race with you. And Governor, I want to add for all of us another note of appreciation to you for your insight in helping us as a department and an agency to reach beyond the bricks, mortar, nuts and bolts most often associated with the importance of infrastructure investments, and all that's important, to both link and intentionally leverage our capital investments, every single public, private, and philanthropic dollar, to do all that we can to lift up and invest in the people and communities we serve. So particularly our communities that are most directly impacted by our transportation and construction projects, we launched as well what we call the Mass Win Workforce Initiative, which is focused on, thank you, critical workforce development needs, small business development, and neighborhood revitalization, developed specifically in concert with our major projects. We launched it here, thank you so much, Jobs for Somerville and the Equity Network here with the GLX project. You see it in the Make It in Massachusetts and Springfield, and our bottom line is that every single one of the dollars that goes into these projects should be lifting up jobs creation, economic development, business opportunities, and educational excellence, and that is what we are absolutely about. So there will be, thank you. So there will be, at least directly from this project, about 140 design jobs, 700 construction jobs, 140 ongoing operations and maintenance jobs, and part of the enduring legacy for this project will be that there will be people that are in these communities that are absolutely going to be employed and benefit directly from these projects. Now, the last one thing I have to do is to definitely, and I always tell you, my grandmother say, give me my flowers while I can smell them. I want to holler, I know I'm going to miss people, so please, just know, I want to acknowledge some very special people, members of our staff. First, a man who is usually pretty silent, but boy, he can go from hero to shero quick if you hit his bell. Ed Hunter, big Ed Hunter, will you please stand up? Eric Stoodhart, we want to say a prayer and a shout out to Mary Ainsley, our woman on the ground. Mary's mother is very ill. She couldn't be here with us, but she is the senior director who heads the overall effort. The incomparable Andrew Brennan. Where are you, Andrew? Okay, I don't even know. We called it like playing whack-a-mole. Mary Beth Mello and the best, I tell you, pound for pound, Region 1 and the Region 1 team. Sean McCarthy, Jonathan Davis, Big Bill McClellan, Mr. Green Line, Rail Operations himself, thank you so much. And then unsung hero, David Moeller, Mr. Planner, Dana Levinson on all the financial, Paige Scott Reed, come on Paige, we signed that, and Frank DePaula. I tell you, he's the most wonderful man in the world. I never loved anybody as much as I love Frankie. Go in that pocket and help, okay? And then for all of our consultants and contractors, WSK, that's JF White, Kiewit, Skanska, AECOM, HNTB, Gilbane, HDR, and Hatchmont McDonald, we promise you we will absolutely finish the work and deliver this project. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Scott. If you ever get over your shyness, you'll be one heck of a person. The Secretary, we're going to actually have you sign the agreement before you go. We can't let you out of Somerville without signing it, as long as Governor Patrick. Let's get a shot of this. We're going to get to that in a second, sir. We'll give you an opportunity. Okay.
Pretty concerned about our environment. We need to stop this dangerous pipeline that's been built at a metering station next to a blasting quarry. They're highly sensitive.
So folks, before we close out, we ask everybody on the stage to sign. Then I want every activist from Dept to Jobs for Somerville, SEC, to every Main Street groups, to the residents and Hillside and Medford and East Downs, and whoever spoke up, you young leaders, I want you to remember this day because it's been decades and decades from now when you're on this stage. Remember the work of those folks out there in the community and yourselves and the voice you brought to make this happen. Thank you very much to our federal and state partners, President Obama, Secretary Foxx, Governor Patrick, the federal state delegation, the Board of Aldermen, the city councils and selectmen from our towns, and thank you to all of you. God bless.